Hello guys, and welcome to part 4 of our motorcycle workshop. In this part I will show you how to enhance a already nice custom paint job with some graphics. And we shall start off by cleaning up a little bit. We will not need the badge. As you can see, we have the shadows that we've drawn on top of our combined layer, so we can switch that off as well because we don't need it. Instead, what we'll do, we'll switch back on the individual layers of the new parts that we've created, these four. That should do the trick. And for the purpose of this demo, I'll only work on the tank, and once you know how to do it on a tank, you'll be able to apply it anywhere else, really. So to draw the flames, what I'll use is a very useful tool called the pen tool, which is situated in here. And this pen tool allows you to draw what's called paths, and those paths later on can be modified, and once they are modified and you're happy with the way they look, you can convert them to a selection, and going from a selection you can actually create a flames look. So let's start, and normally I always start somewhere outside the graphics, because you draw the path and you actually loop all the way back to the point where you started from. So it's always good to keep it somewhere outside so you don't have any jagged edges inside. And let's say we'll go in somewhere around here. So that will be our first part of the flame. And what you do, you basically just draw out a simple shape of the flames that you'd like to have. This one, get deeper, curve it a bit more. So these are like control points really for how the flame will look like later, and you'll see in a second what I mean by that. Okay, nothing too fancy, and we'll exit here. And now I can loop back outside the graphics all the way to the point where we began from. And as you can see, when I mouse over it, it changes to the pen tool cursor. When it does, just click it and it closes the whole path, and that's one finished shape. So that's step one. Step two is we're gonna use the tool called Convert Point Tool. What that allows you to do, it allows you to modify each of those points that we've put in and make those straight lines curved. If you click anywhere, you'll see all of them again, but when you mouse over any of those points, the cursor changes. When it does, you click it, hold it, and start dragging it, and as you can see, it will allow you to create curves, which is something we're after. So let's start by stretching all of them. Be careful which way you stretch out, because sometimes you'll pull the wrong way around like that, and what you'll end up with is the curves going completely wrong way. So you just rotate it all around to make it look good. And I'll quickly do all of them. For the tips, you stretch it in one point, in one direction, and then you let go, and then you can grab the individual control points and modify just one side of it. So we want a sharp tip. There we go. Stretch, 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 and something like that. Hopefully that's visible enough. I do recommend watching in the highest quality setting, the 1080p video, because you'll be able to see all the detail that I'm actually working on. Otherwise it might be a bit blurry. It's a lot of it. I'm almost done. And again the tip, rotate the other one. It's a really simple and effective tool to get the job done. And I did mention in one of the earlier parts that for the selections of the tank or any other parts, we could actually use the paths, and that's how you would do it. You would just draw the control points around the shape of the tank, and then just use those curves to fit the shape, and you'd have the same kind of selection as we did, but instead of we've used the quick mask and drawn. So we have the curves now, but they are in some places they are not looking really good. So if you click into one of them again, it actually resets, so you can play with it a little bit to make it look better. You click out to see the results. You click in. Now when you've actually created the individual, you've converted the individual points, if you click at the line in between any two of them, you always get the control points from that side, from both control points, if that makes any sense. So here also you might want to reposition your control points at some stage, so you do that by pressing Control and grabbing it. This allows you to actually modify where it sits, and then you can just carry on and keep modifying the shape to a point where you actually say that, yeah, that looks alright. Not the best looking flames in the world, but they'll do. So once you have your graphics in place, your path set up as you would like it, what we need to do is to convert the path to a selection, and it's very simple to do. All you have to do is just go to the Paths tab over here, and we will have our work path that we've just created, and you just right click it, choose Make Selection, leave these options as default, click OK, and instead of the work path you will have a selection now. So here we go back to the layers, we'll create a new layer, and what we'll do, I have white, plain white set as my foreground color. We'll go to Edit, Fill, and we'll fill it with plain white. There we go. So let's rename that. That's our Flames 1. That's our layer for flames. And to trim it down, a very simple thing to do, with our current layer selected with flames, you press Control and you click into the area over here on the new tank layer. That grabs the selection of the tank layer and applies it, so you can work with it on your flames layer. And what we need to do now is invert the selection, which you do by pressing Control plus Shift plus I, and you press Delete to select anything that's outside our tank. There we go. That looks like a nice job already. But it's missing a few things, so let's add. If you double click on your flames layer somewhere around here, don't click it on the name, because it will actually make it will actually allow you to rename it. So click somewhere on the right hand side, and what we'll do, we'll switch some extra effects on. We'll do a stroke. We'll do a stroke that's 2 pixels wide, and the color, we'll pick a maybe darkish blue color. There we go. And to make it look more 3D, we'll add a drop shadow. We'll move it a bit further down. There we go. That looks good. Okay, that. But as you've noticed, there is one problem on this side. It applied the stroke, the blue stroke as well. So what we need to do is to duplicate this layer, and you do that by just selecting your layer and pressing Ctrl J, or right clicking and choosing duplicate layer. Flames 1 copy, we'll call it Flames 2. Okay, that. Now we don't need the effects on on Flames 2, so you right click it and you choose Clear Layer Style. That removes all the effects that we've added. And there is one more thing to do. You go below the Flames 1, you create a new layer, which is a blank one, and to make the effects permanent, what you need to do, you need to flatten the layer on top of another layer that removes the effects. And you do that simply by creating a blank layer underneath the layer you want to flatten. You select the Flames 1 in our example, and you press Ctrl E. Bam. Now we don't have the FX symbol anymore. What we have is just one layer with all the effects applied, and we can't do anything about it anymore. So what we will do now, we will actually delete that area because we don't need it, because we have our clean selection over here. So let's do that. Then we just select the eraser tool, and we'll just make a nice soft and we'll remove it over here. There we go, and a little bit here. There we go. So once we have that in place, if we switch the other one on, there you go. It doesn't go anywhere, and by accident we've also achieved a very cool effect. If you select our Flames 2 layer and drop the opacity a little bit to like 75, look at that. All of a sudden it appears like it's actually painted on top of the tank, and we have semi-transparent reflections going through. So if we zoom out to a full extent, well, they hardly look like proper flames, but you get the idea. That's how you apply graphics on top of our custom paint job, and that pretty much concludes the workshop, or at least everything I have planned. If you'd like to see something else, if you'd like to, if you had a request, I'm more than happy to help. I'll show you, I'll record it. Just let me know, and we'll have some more fun with Photoshop. Thanks a lot, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it.